Welcome to another episode of the Buffoon Sports Talk. I'm your host for today, Troy Alexander. With me, no one. Actually, it's a solo episode today. Kind of just wanted to go over the NBA as I brace myself to watch an amazing season that's about to unfold. Before that happens, I have to endure slow games of the NFL. And it's just literally every third down, flag. Every single game I've watched, I just feel like there's a flag on every third down. And it's just, sometimes it's hard to watch, honestly. I can't wait for the speed of the NBA to happen. I don't know, maybe just the NFL as a league has gotten me to kind of drift away from football. I still like the game of football, but the NFL itself has really gotten me to just not really enjoy watching as much. Maybe I'm just salty because the Rams are maybe about to lose 3 games in a row, but I don't know. Anyway, this isn't an NFL podcast. This is an NBA podcast that I'm doing on the side. And as we slowly but surely get to the NBA season within almost a little over a week away, I'm going to start to record more and more of these just solo little episodes for the Buffoon Sports Talk. We will have these on our website here. I just kind of want to go over interesting games that are happening during the week, my analysis on a game after it's happened. But for this particular episode, I kind of want to preview the East and West. In my eyes, there's 5 teams that have a legit shot of winning a championship. And this season is far and away the most interesting we've seen in, I would say, probably the past 6 years, maybe a little more, because within the last 5 years, we kind of already knew the juggernaut of the NBA, which was the Golden State Warriors. And now, though, I feel like with as many contenders as there are, there's not a clear-cut favorite, and every contending team has huge weaknesses. There's not a perfect team out there, and I just want to go down the line and kind of list strengths and weaknesses of every contender and just kind of dissect their team as a whole. So let's start in the East. I think there's 2 contenders in the East. Probably the 76ers have a legit shot out of winning a championship. And I would say the Bucks are second. I have the 76ers as the best team in the East. So let's start with Philadelphia. I think, first and foremost, they're going to really miss Jimmy Butler. I think when you got into kind of a postseason format where things slow down, and you need that one guy that can handle the ball for you and that can score and do so many different things for you, that really opens things up for your other guys like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. You take some pressure off Ben Simmons. We all know his jump shot difficulties. And there was a lot of times late in that Toronto series where Jimmy Butler brought the ball up half court and just was able to run an offense for you. And until Ben Simmons is able to knock down jump shots at a steady basis, I don't see the 76ers having that luxury that they had with Jimmy Butler. I still think the 76ers defensively are going to be the best defensive team in the league. I think they're going to be actually one of the best defenses we've ever seen, because you look at the 1 through 5, they can guard so many different positions, and they're all amazing defenders at their positions. Not just that, they can guard other positions. So they're probably, outside of maybe Joel Embiid, you're going to be able to switch all your 1 through 5s on defense. That's scary. My only issue with the 76ers is lack of shooting and lack of scoring. Now, has Ben Simmons developed a jump shot? As yet to be seen. Let's kind of wait and see. But as for this preseason, he's made 1 3-pointer, and the internet and Philadelphia went bonkers over it. Awesome. I'm really happy Simmons hit that 3, but is he going to be able to do this on a consistent basis? I don't know. The way Philadelphia is constructed, to me, that offense looks like it's built around Joel Embiid, and that's fine. Joel Embiid is arguably the best center in the game outside of Jokic down in Denver. So having an offense built around Embiid is not a bad thing. He's a great player. I have to see more of Simmons' development. But yeah, if Simmons is able to knock his jump shot down, 76ers are clearly the best team in the East, in my opinion. Maybe they try to find a shooter on the buyout market somehow. I thought Kyle Korver would have been a really nice pickup for him. But as we talk more about Korver, that leads us into Milwaukee. Korver did sign as a buyout in Milwaukee, and that really helps Milwaukee and their spacing, because I feel like in the East, once you get down to it, you're able to exploit Giannis Antetokounmpo's weaknesses a little, which really is just his jump shot. Like, if the guy develops a jumper, he's going to be one of the most talented players ever. He already is, but he's so damn talented. And if he gets a solid jumper, man, you're not going to be able to clog those lanes. You're not going to be able to clog the paint. And you throw Korver in that equation. I think Korver's going to end up playing a lot of minutes with Antetokounmpo to close games out. And we've got to see if Eric Bledsoe is still going to have his postseason struggles. But overall, I think the Bucks get the second seed. Outside of that, like, you can kind of say, yeah, the Celtics will be good. I'm not sure about the Raptors. The Nets will make the playoffs, but they're really going to start shining next season once Kevin Durant comes back. They still have really nice pieces outside of that duo of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, so they're also a sleeper. Another sleeper I look at is the Miami Heat. I really like Tyler Hero, their first-round pick. I really like Jimmy Butler over there with his work ethic. I think he fits in perfectly with the Heat's organization and their culture. And rumor has it, they may be in the mix for Chris Paul. So you throw Chris Paul and Jimmy Butler on a team. Some people want to say, the personalities, I don't know. And you may have a point because they are hard players to play with. But their work ethic and just what they can do individually is going to be a very, very tough out for any team in the East. I maybe think they can be a conference championship team if they are able to facilitate a Chris Paul trade. But I think the Heat are missing 1-2 pieces to get to that point. We still have to see about all these other players that might get traded. You know, there's Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, Kevin Love. So there still are some superstars that are available on the market. You just have to find enough cap room, or not cap room, but enough the right pieces to throw in to equal these contracts that you're getting back in the trade. Whether that means a third team, I think that's probably the route a lot of teams are going to go by, but we'll have to wait till December 15th to wait and see for all of these signings this past free agency. Those contracts are able to get traded at December 15th. So I think a lot is going to happen around mid-December and before the trade deadline. But so I think there's like two contenders in the East, being the 76ers and the Bucks. Probably a repeat of of the Eastern Conference Championship last year of the Bucks and the 76ers. So I'm excited for that series. And then I want to segue now to the West, which I think is probably the most exciting part. A lot of superstar movement this past summer, with, the Rockets getting Westbrook, the Lakers getting Anthony Davis, the Warriors getting D'Angelo Russell, Clippers obviously getting their star duo in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So for me personally, I think in the West, there's both LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, and you've got the Rockets. And I really am high on the Nuggets. I'm actually super high on the Nuggets and the Rockets. Not a lot of people agree with me on the Rockets, really. But I honestly love the Russell Westbrook addition. I think he's actually a better fit than Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is a little difficult to play with, not taking anything away from his ability on the court. But I think you kind of mesh his personality with Harden. Everyone knows that's Harden's team. And Chris Paul comes in, he's a little bossy. He's a little demanding, and maybe James Harden doesn't like that. As we saw a lot, they got into it on the court lots of times. And it wasn't like a backstage thing where we weren't seeing it. No, it was happening on court, live, in timeouts, on the court. A lot of issues there. So I just don't think the fit was great. I really love the Westbrook addition in Houston. I think you spread the floor and you have Russell Westbrook having the ball to run an offense 60% of the time, and you have Harden with the ball in his hands 40% of the time. I think Russell Westbrook, with him having the ball in his hands and 3 shooters on the perimeter, something he did not have in Oklahoma City, I think that's going to spread out the floor for him more, which will give him some more driving lanes to the basket to get easier baskets rather than jacking up jump shots, which is not his strength. And that's exactly why I don't think Harden should have the ball in his hands as much when Harden and Westbrook share the floor together. Because you have Harden with the ball and you're going to have Westbrook and PJ Tucker and maybe Eric Gordon on the perimeter. You're not going to respect Westbrook as a three-point shooter. He's not a good historically three-point shooter. You respect Harden, you respect Eric Gordon, and you respect PJ Tucker. So that being said, I think you need to have the ball in Westbrook's hands. I don't know how D'Antoni is going to design the system with Westbrook, but he's got some thinking to do there. Overall, I love Houston's roster. I think Ben McLemore is a really nice addition off the bench. I think Thabo Sefolosha is another sleeping free agent that was on the market that not a lot of teams maybe saw, but Houston picked him up. He's a guy that'll defend a few positions for you, and surprisingly, he shot over 40% from three-point range last year. So it's not like he doesn't do anything for you. And so I really think Houston is a legit contender. How I view Houston, I think it can work out really well, or it's going to be an absolute disaster. I don't think it is an in-between level there. I think it's really good or it's really bad. So we'll see there. And then I think the Warriors are interesting. I think a lot of people are saying they got D'Angelo Russell as a possible trade piece. And that is a very nice trade piece for a lot of teams to want to get. I mean, he's a young star, early 20s, locked up for 4 or 5 more years now after signing that deal and the sign and trade. Me personally, I'm not crazy about a 3-guard set. I mean, you're going to be starting Steph Curry, D'Angelo Russell, and when Klay gets back, Klay Thompson. So if I'm the Warriors, I would be playing Steph, D'Angelo, Klay, Draymond at the 4, and I think Willie Cauley-Stein is a really nice signing for them. I think he really fits what Golden State wants to do on both sides of the ball. I think he's a really, really good fit for them. But asking Klay to guard threes is, I think, difficult. I'm not saying Klay can't, but Klay is used to really guarding 1 and 2s, and Klay is an all-elite defender. Klay can guard at the highest level. But then people say, no, Klay's not going to be guarding the 3. Draymond's going to be guarding the 3. Okay, so is Klay going to be guarding the 4 then? Because Draymond can't guard 2 people at once. So either way I look at it, there's always going to be some type of matchup issue for the Warriors. Now, I think Steph needs to have a 2016 MVP type of season where he just goes off and doesn't really care who's guarding him. He's going to hit anything on you. I think he needs to have one of those type of seasons, and he also needs to carry more of the load because Klay isn't back till after the All-Star break in February. That being said, this year I don't have the Warriors in the finals. If Klay was healthy, I could definitely see the Warriors being a problem and a really, really difficult out for any team. So that's interesting. We still have to see if they are for sure certain on keeping D'Angelo there. For me, it's hard to imagine because they had to give up 2 first-round picks plus Iguodala and Sean Livingston pretty much to have enough space to get D'Angelo. So you're giving up 2 future firsts for a guy that you plan on trading. For me, it doesn't make sense. Unless you look at Minnesota. Minnesota was a team in the offseason that really, really was interested in D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo was really interested in going there. I guess it just kind of didn't pan out. But I look at a team like Minnesota, and they have some really nice pieces you can get back for a D'Angelo Russell if that's a trade that you would want to take part in. They've got, Robert Covington down there. He would be an amazing piece to get back for the Warriors. I don't want to imagine that because I'm not a big Warriors fan. So Before we start talking about the Warriors possibly getting better, let's move to another team, the Denver Nuggets. Man, they're scary. I think Jokic is the best center in the game. Joel Embiid being the second best center. I think they have all of the pieces you need to win a championship. They didn't get a top 2 seed last year for nothing. I believe they were the 1 or the 2 seed. I know they were either one. And I think inexperience got to them, and Portland was able to overcome them. But, you add a year of experience. All of their guys are coming back, and we'll see how Porter Jr. is going to be. He was arguably the most talented player in the draft a few years back when they drafted him. He's just hasn't been able to stay healthy, but he could be that small forward / shooting guard piece that Denver needs. Because when I look at their roster, they have every single piece you need. They are just missing a small forward. And like I said, when I started this podcast, I think every contending team has a huge weakness, and this is Denver's huge weakness. And if Porter Jr. is able to fill that void and become that small forward piece that you need, Denver is easily a contender, easily a finals contender in my eyes. I think they have everything you need. But the thing is if Porter Jr. does not develop into that guy, maybe you have to start looking elsewhere. Maybe you do call up Memphis and say, hey, what do you want for Andre Iguodala? I think Iguodala is going to be a big defining piece for contenders this upcoming year. I think if a team is able to facilitate a Andre Iguodala trade or a buyout, that's going to be a gigantic piece for any type of contending team. You just have to figure out, well, keep in mind the guy's 35, making $17 million a year, and it might be his last year. So do we really want to give up a first rounder for the guy? And there's not a lot of teams at the moment that are going to be able to fit that type of salary. So, maybe Memphis goes in with the mindset of, okay, no one's giving us a first rounder. We just have to buy him out. I don't know. We'll see. But maybe that's some type of piece that Denver goes after. But yeah, I love Denver. I think Denver is fully capable of making noise again and probably getting to the finals. With that said, I want to talk about both Los Angeles teams now. I'm so stoked. Battle of LA this year. Not just that, opening night on the 22nd, we have the Clippers against the Lakers. Now keep in mind, Paul George has just had shoulder surgery on both shoulders. He's not going to be playing in that game. He's coming back in November. But this is where the depth of the Clippers comes in. Not that you can fill Paul George's void and his absence, but overall, to compare the Clippers and the Lakers, I think the Clippers have a overall better team than the Lakers. But it's hard to count the Lakers out of that because you have 2 top 5 players in the NBA in Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Now, I understand Kawhi Leonard had an amazing playoff run this past summer. Clearly proved he's one of the best players in the game. LeBron James has been getting counted out all summer. I just keep saying, keep poking the bear, people. Keep poking the bear. It's not like LeBron hasn't been hearing what you've been saying about him. All these ranking lists came out. LeBron's not even in the top 2, and it's crazy to me. But, everyone's got Kawhi above LeBron. And that's... I don't know if I agree with that, really. I still think LeBron James is the best player in the game. He's had an entire summer to rest. He hasn't had that since early on in his career, really. Because even if you look at his first stint in Cleveland, he was still, making second, third round appearances. And so I don't even know if it was maybe until his second or third year that he actually made the playoffs. But he's had this entire time to rest, to hear all these comments, and I think that's going to give him a killer instinct that not a lot of teams are going to want to deal with. But comparing the 2 Los Angeles teams, I think, man, it's tough. I can't really think of like who would win in a series of a game of 7, but I always want to take two. If I can take two top players in Anthony Davis and LeBron, that's hard to bet against. But I look on both sides, and both sides do have weaknesses, and each team's greatest strength is also each team's biggest weakness. So we'll start with the Lakers. I think the Lakers have a lot of size, and that is going to hurt the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers don't really have much size on their team. They've got Zubac that's going to be starting at the 5. I think you're going to be starting Harrell at the 4 and bringing JaMychal Green off the bench. But are any of those guys going to really be able to guard Anthony Davis? I don't know. I don't really see how that's possible, and I think the Lakers are going to kill them on the boards. You're bringing Dwight Howard off the bench. You don't need Dwight Howard to do anything. You don't need him. The ball should not be getting thrown into Dwight's hands whatsoever in the post. Ever, ever, ever. All you need Dwight to do is the rebound and clear up, some baskets for you. That's what you want Dwight Howard to be doing. And with that being said, I don't think that the Clippers are going to be able to handle the Lakers' size. But on the flip side, I think the Lakers are missing some wing help and probably a ball-handling point guard. I don't think Rondo should be playing much at all, if at all. And I think Alex Caruso should be getting the minutes above Rondo. But because of politics and kind of the rep that Rajon Rondo has built, I think Rondo, to start the season, and especially being who Frank Vogel is, I think Rondo is going to be above Alex Caruso in the rotation. But overall, Caruso should be getting all the point guard minutes off the bench. I don't think Rajon Rondo should be playing at all, but that's just my opinion. But I think that the Lakers are missing a lot. They could use a wing defender. I feel like Andre Iguodala would be an amazing fit. And hopefully, Kyle Kuzma developed his game on the defensive side with Team USA. I know he didn't make the team probably because of the foot injury. I don't know if he would have made the team even without the foot injury, but hopefully that experience paid dividends for him and he improved on the defensive side, because the Lakers are really going to need it. And obviously we look at the Clippers, and they are probably the most skilled team as far as wings in the league. You add two guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, two of the top tier wing defenders in the game. So it's like I said, I look at both teams, and both of their greatest strengths are also their greatest weaknesses for the opposing team, and being the Clippers and Lakers. So, they're interesting. I think the Clippers do have, they've got some nice depth. They've got, Lou Williams, who's a walking bucket off the bench. But the Lakers are not shy on the bench either. I mean, they've got a nice 10-man rotation. Now, do you play 10 people? I mean, no, probably not. But, Avery Bradley, Kyle Kuzma, Jared Dudley, Dwight Howard, those are nice bench pieces. They're not starters, but they're bench pieces. So I think that, the Battle of LA is going to be a lot more closer than people think. So with that being said, I kind of want to look at, possible moves any of these teams can make to get better, to maybe give themselves the upper hand compared to other teams. So I think the biggest one is Andre Iguodala. The situation with him is going to be so key and so crucial. If the Clippers or the Lakers or even the Rockets are able to add him, that is just a gigantic piece. And I think that can really shift the balance of contenders. You add Iguodala, and if I had to pick, I think he makes most sense for probably for the Lakers and the Clippers, because I feel like you can never have too much wing help. Guys that can do multiple things, handle the ball, score, and defend. I feel like you can never have too many of those guys. I mean, Toronto this past year is the clearest example. They had so many guys that can shoot the ball, score the ball, and defend. And that paid dividends when it came down to guarding a team like Golden State. Granted, Golden State was injured, but even so, I still had Toronto in a completely healthy series. I just think Golden State was super tired, super just worn out. And, they've had the benefit of being healthy the past 5 years in the finals. And this was finally the year that things just broke down. And that happens at times when you've been to the finals 5 straight years and you've had a lot of wear and tear and not a lot of time to rest. So, but anyway, I like Toronto proved that you can never have too many wing defenders that can do multiple things. So, but you plug him into the Clippers, let's say Andre Iguodala, and it's interesting because I don't think he would. I mean, he could start. You could do like a skill ball / small ball lineup of Iguodala at the 4, but I think that team just gets really beat down with size, and Kawhi Leonard had the capability of being on load management last year with the Raptors because they played in the East, and he had a really nice roster around him that I don't think gets enough credit for, to be able to guide that team in the regular season. So Kawhi was ready for the playoffs. This is the West, though. This isn't the East. You're not going to have many games to be on load management, especially with Paul George not being able to play till mid-December-ish is what they said and what Paul George said. Mid-November-ish. With that, I don't think Kawhi's going to be able to take much time off. Now, you might have like a 3, 4, 5 game road trip where you're playing below 500 teams. That would probably be the best time to take time off. But since the West is so much more competitive than the East, I don't think Kawhi's going to have the capability of taking many games off. So then you add Iguodala into that equation, and that's a big key. And then you put, I think though, it makes most sense for the Lakers. I mean, Rob Pelinka is the Lakers GM, which he was a former agent for Kobe Bryant and, just so happens, Iguodala. And Iguodala doesn't have to start. He's 35. I don't know if he's gonna be able to start being that old, especially for a team that's trying to have a long run come June into May or June. And if you're the Lakers, you can go to Iguodala and say, "Look, man, we don't need you to start. We're just going to need you to defend the opposite team's, best player, considering that's a wing or something, or a ball handler, and, close the games with Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Danny Green, and or Kyle Kuzma or whoever else they have out there as that 4th guy." But, I mean, you have a closing lineup of 80, LeBron, Iguodala, Danny Green, and or Avery Bradley and Kyle Kuzma as your 5th person. That is an amazing way to end games on the defensive side of the ball. You've got defenders at every position that you can put on someone. So I think the best situation for Iguodala is the Lakers, but on the flip side, Lakers don't have any assets to trade for Iguodala, right? I mean, they put all their stock into the Anthony Davis trade, which is fine. Anthony Davis is a generational talent. You make that trade. I don't disagree with the trade whatsoever. But when you're trying to get more pieces to improve your roster, it's a lot more difficult because you don't have the means to do that. On top of that, you also don't have the salary cap to absorb a $17 million player in Iguodala. So really the only way I see this deal working out for the Lakers is if something happens and the Grizzlies decide to buy out Iguodala, and Iguodala takes the vet minimum to come to the Lakers. Outside of that, I mean, it's the same thing with the Clippers and the Rockets. They also don't have the cap space. And I don't think the Clippers have many assets, too. I think the Clippers actually have like 1 first rounder they're able to move. But they would have to move a piece along with that to match Iguodala's salary. That's if they're trading. Along with the Rockets. The Rockets don't have any cap space either. I mean, you have 2 giant contracts in Westbrook. Well, actually, he doesn't have a giant contract. Harden doesn't have a giant contract, I don't believe. But Westbrook does. Westbrook's one of the highest paid players in the league, if not the highest paid, if I recall properly. But you still have, guys making good money on that team, and Clint Capella, James Harden, Eric Gordon. So they also cannot fit Iguodala in there. Once again, you're going to have to perform some magic if you're a GM of a team to get Iguodala. I know a lot of teams are really hoping Memphis buys him out. I mean, outside of Iguodala, there's not really a lot of pieces you can really get as a contender to become better. I think Denver's interesting. They've got a lot of young assets and all of their picks pretty much to get somebody. Like rumor has it Bradley Beal is a fit for over there maybe. I mean, you can trade some of your shooters and probably 2-3 first round picks for Bradley Beal. Maybe you throw Beasley in there, you throw Gary Harris Jr. in there, and maybe something else and a pick or two or more picks. But I think most likely, I think Bradley Beal makes a lot of sense for Denver, and I also think Iguodala makes sense for Denver. But we've seen in the past that when small market teams make pushes for trades and they don't end up working out, they're usually screwed for the next 3-4 years, because you're probably not going to be able to build in free agency after that, because players don't like to go to small markets. So it's risky for small markets to make trades like that. So I would completely understand if Denver wanted to wait, like all these other teams are going to do, on the Iguodala situation and hope for a buyout. But overall, I mean, I've got like 5, like I said when I started this podcast out, I have 5 contenders in the NBA. I've got the Lakers, the Clippers, the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the 76ers. And I want to throw the Bucks in there as my 6th. As far as like the Portland Trail Blazers and the Utah Jazz, I think those teams are a little easier to defend than the rest of the other teams I already listed. I think you can clamp down on backcourts and make it tough for these type of teams to score. Like, I think if you make it really tough on Donovan Mitchell, then I know they added Bogdanovich and you still have, Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley. But unless Donovan Mitchell takes that next step, making guys better, his 3-point shooting, even then, I think it's easier to defend the Jazz than it is to defend some of these other teams. I think it's the same thing with the Trailblazers. I think the Warriors kind of proved that. They made it really, really difficult on Damian Lillard and in last year's conference finals, and they said, well, we're going to have McCollum beat us, and McCollum was not able to do that. I think it's kind of the same case here. I don't think adding Hassan Whiteside is going to add another element to your offense. I just think they need a few more pieces to get to that next level. And then, I kind of look at other teams like the Spurs and other teams that'll make the playoffs, but they're not contenders. And same with the Celtics. I think the Celtics will be like a 3 or 4 seed in the East. But once again, they're just kind of that team that is going to make it, but I don't think they're going to do much. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode of me kind of breaking down the NBA and what I think is going to happen, let me know. Buffoon Sports Talk, we're all over social media. We're hitting Spotify, we're hitting iTunes, wherever you get all your podcasts. Let us know. I want to know what you guys think. If you like these episodes, I'm going to be throwing a lot more at you guys. So keep your eyes open for us. Keep your ears open for us. We're going to be all over the place. We're going to be uploading articles to our website here coming soon. So keep a lookout for that. I appreciate you guys listening to us. And this is Troy signing out.